For those of you watching at home, that was a little Separate Ways by Journey, a little air keyboarding. Yeah, what is up, Sooner Nation? I am Casey Mallon, and you are now, come on, get with me, in a Sooner state of mind. Make sure you like and subscribe on Apple Podcast and Spotify and Amazon Music. Hey, Alexa, play Sooner State of Mind podcast. Boom. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200K. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online, the game starts here. On today's show, we take a quick look back at the crazy that was last week in college football. I look forward at the insanity that is this week. Oh, baby, so many awesome games. Week 7, just like heaven. Is Super Conference closer than we think? Perhaps. And is there anything else happening on Saturday? Yeah, it's the Red River Rivalry, good versus evil. Crimson and cream versus that disgusting burnt orange. It's OU versus Texas, and it is about to go down. Got to crack a cold one to that. Oh, yeah, a little Pamplemousse. LaCroix. If you're watching, we're listening. Cheers to everybody out there. Come around the bend. You know it's the end. The fireman screams and the engine just gleams. You know what I am talking about. Sooner State of Mind family. What is good? Did you enjoy the bye week? I know I did. But I also know a lot of other fan bases did not. A lot of teams said bye to being undefeated. That would be a nice trend for this week, too. You feel me? Seriously, though, I do not remember a weekend that had that many upsets, maybe ever. Let's go ahead and get started. It took OT, but Syracuse beat UNLV to shock the world. That's right. Knock those running Rebs from the status of undefeated. Could it be any more orange? No, it could not. The Orange win in overtime 44-41. And that was just Friday night, a little taste of the madness that was to come. Here's a phrase I never thought I would say. Vanderbilt beats Alabama. Wait, what? That is right. Unranked Vandy beat them number 1 ranked Tide 40-35. And this game was no fluke. Vandy jumped out to a 7-0 lead and never gave that lead up. It did get tight late, and it did feel like Bama would do what they always do, but they didn't. Vandy, nursing a 5-point lead, held on to the ball for the last 3 minutes of the game, never giving Bama that ball back. A big reason why. Running back Cedric Alexander, only 64 yards on 21 carries, but 2 TDs, and late in that fourth quarter would not be denied, kept picking up some huge first downs. Another reason, quarterback Diego Pavia. Now, this dude has a little bit of that Baker mojo where his energy just kind of infects the rest of the team. It goes exponentially and picks everybody up. It's infectious, baby. And the team rode it to what might be the biggest win in school history. Maybe not. I don't know how long Vanderbilt comes back, but that was an epic win. Easy like Sunday morning, baby. Well done. And for Bama, this game does not change the way I feel about Jalen Milroe or Ryan Williams. Not a bad game by the team. They just got into a fight and lost. It happens. It's just that Bama are usually the bullies, and that wasn't the case last week. maybe a little too high after that beatdown they put on the Dogs. But either way, Bama is still going to be right in the mix. But moving forward, I feel bad for the Cox this week. South Carolina getting an angry Crimson Tide. That's usually a bad formula. Now, that Vandy game would be enough to last a week to be like a WTF week. But wait, there's more. Number 4, Tennessee, coming off their bye week. They go down to Fayetteville and get run by unranked Pig Suey. Arkansas beats Hypes Vols 19-14. Nico struggled in this one, and Taylor Green for Arkansas was pretty damn good, connecting with Andrew Armstrong. 9 grabs, 132 yards. The Vols did have a chance to win this game late, but Nico had a momentary lapse of reason and dove out of the pool of the undefeated. Out of bounds. He did get the first down, but that was the last play of the game. Ooh, sorry, Nico. Number 7, Mizzou goes to number 25, A&M, Texas A&M, that is, just in case you didn't know. And they got a 41-10 beat down. That's always nice to see, don't you think? Yeah, that's what Missouri gets. And it's yet another loss for the Fighting Tebows. Looking California, but feeling Minnesota. The number 11 USC Trojans take that L against the unranked Minnesota Golden Gophers, 24-17. Little Marcus Major action over there. And I'm all right. Don't nobody worry about me. You really hate when stuff like that happens to SC and Tebow, huh? JK. And then it was a slightly less prestigious rematch of last year's national championship. Number 10, Michigan, went to Washington. And the Huskies get a little revenge, beating up those Veens 27-17. I'm sure that felt good, but not as good as it would have felt last January. Oh, well. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And then Cal tried to get in on that upset fun, but they squandered a huge second half lead against Cam Ward and the Canes. Number 8, Miami escapes Berkeley with the 38-35 win. Good stuff. But that's enough about last week. That being said, wouldn't it be sweet to see the number 1 ranked team in the country go down again this week? Can I get a hell yeah? Seriously, though, I can't remember a week like this week 7 coming up, maybe ever. We got Penn State at SC, Florida at Tennessee, Ohio State at Oregon, Ole Miss at LSU, and K-State at Colorado. And, of course, number 1 ranked Texas, 2 S's, versus our number 18 ranked Oklahoma Sooners. I wanted to dive into a little bit of super conference talk, but there's so many killer games to get to. I'm going to cut this a little short. Per Yahoo Sports, Ross Dellinger, a group led by former Disney executives turned investment professionals, has proposed a 70-team super league featuring schools from the 4 power conferences that would infuse up to $9 billion in private capital cash into the sport. Dellinger noted that athletic directors at more than 25 power conference programs have seen the presentation called the Rudy Project. And the meeting might be taking place right this minute. It's supposed to go down on Wednesday and Thursday. Miami AD Dan Radakovich, who is among those who have seen the presentation, told Dellinger he believes that Project Rudy looks to be an effective model. Of all the ideas I've seen, this one makes the most sense, he said. Conferences are kept intact. Commissioners still have an important and valuable role, and there is the ability for schools to make increased money. Oh, I'm listening. From bigger matchups and more playoff games. The main concepts of the project, according to Dellinger, would arrange for more games between power conference teams. I'm into it. By eliminating all games against group of 5 and FCS opponents. I'm into it. While expanding the playoff field, I am into it. And have traditional powerhouse programs play head-to-head more often. What is not to like? It would also consolidate the media rights deals for the 70 schools into one single agreement. That might be a little sticky. And as opposed to the current structure where each conference and Notre Dame has its own deal. Mo money, mo problems, but not when it comes to mo college football. I'm intrigued. And if there's a way for these guys to make more money, it's always about the money. Even when they say it's not about the money, it's about the money. So I could see something like that happening sooner than later. And once these cats get a taste of this 12-team playoff, I think all bets are off, and the excitement and the revenue this playoff will create will have everybody ready to party naked. And by party naked, I mean start those involved on the path to Scrooge McDuckin, swimming through all that money. What did we just say? It's always about the money. We're definitely going to keep that on our radar. Okay, that's enough of that. It was just about a year ago that a single pregame speech gave birth to a legend and a legendary game. A quote, "I'm certain about two things in effing life. I'm certain that 1, Oklahoma only fears God, and number 2, Texas fears Oklahoma." End quote. Danny Stutzman, baby. That pregame speech was part of the fuel that led to the epic 34-30 beatdown of the Shorthorns. You might remember Dylan Gabriel's game-winning TD drive with just over a minute left, no timeouts, hitting Nick Anderson in the back of the end zone. It's going to go down in history. That was the 119th installment of this game. Stutzman, who gave us that quote, had 9 tackles, including 1.5 TFLs, forced Quinn Ewers into 3 turnovers, and held those Horns to just 3 points in 3 red zone trips, including that sick, relax, sick, not 6. That sick goal line stand in the fourth quarter. Oh, it was so tasty. If you haven't seen it more than 1 million times, get back on the X and check it out. It brings me just as much joy every time I see it as it did when we were living it. And that goal line stand joins the Roy Williams and Teddy Lehman play as maybe a couple of the most iconic plays in this series. Now we're going to need a lot more of that on Saturday. But this is the type of game that Danny and Billy Bowman and all those other cats came back for. They're also part of the reason this defense is taking that next step, and they're still improving. There's plenty of room to grow. But this defense is championship caliber, and they're going to get a chance to prove it on Saturday. And I feel like both Stutzman and Bowman will make a big-time game-changing play in this game. I also feel like Ethan Downs will do something special. The defense will create TFLs. They will create some sacks, and they will create some turnovers. And I believe this will be their best performance of the season. Bringing that heat, that depth will be coming in waves. If they can slow down that Texas run game, then it's hunting season. Now, these DBs are going to have to hold up and lock it down, especially in some 1v1 situations. Texas will take some deep shots. They're going to try to do some weird formations and crazy route combinations. So they're going to have to be on it, but I think they will be. Another dude with the chance to prove it on Saturday is young Michael Hawkins Jr. Could this dude have 2 bigger starts to begin his collegiate career? First start, just OU's first ever SEC conference road game, down 11 in the fourth quarter. Dub. brought him all the way back. And now, if that wasn't big enough, how about OU versus Texas? Not only that, but Michael Hawkins Jr. will be the first true freshman quarterback to ever start for the Sooners in the Triple R. That's 120 years, people. Do the math. This dude is special, and dude seems built for it. We heard all the murmurs since spring ball. The murmurs like the Irma, Lerma, Merman murder turned the bird's word lurid, the whir and the purr, the twirler girl, she would, the word demure, the insurer's allure, and the valor were pure carry were. One fervid whirl over her turgid Seemed like a good idea at the time. If you know what that is, you are my people. But seriously, the word has dude has been pushing JFA, competing for that QB1 spot since spring ball, and now he's got it. And that pressure comes with being QB1 at Oklahoma. And so far, this dude does not seem fazed by it even one little bit. He's definitely got to show out on Saturday, and I believe he can. Last year in this game, DG carved up them Bevos, 23-38, 285, and that game-winning touchdown pass to Nick Anderson. You remember that one? Texas was up about a minute left in the game. DG hits Nick Anderson right in the corner of the end zone. Crowd goes wild. Sooners win. Horns lose. You guys remember that? I sure do. But in that game, DG also got his wheels going. He ran all over them Horns. 14 carries for 113 and a touchdown. And I feel like that QB run game will be a huge part of the game plan for Saturday. It gave them complete fits last year. We saw the speed open up against Auburn. We saw Kyler do it to these Horns. It's Hawks time now. And when asked about Hawkins, BV said, Mike's a very process-driven guy. He's always been mature beyond his years. He'll do a good job. Don't overcomplicate things. And again, don't try to win the game in the first quarter. Don't let emotions hijack what it takes to execute. I've got faith. He's a guy that it's easy to bet on. BV knows. He sees it. I think the whole team sees it, and I think they feel it. This guy's got a little mojo to him and something special. So I am completely stoked, but we are going to need a great game out of him. It's a lot to put on a true freshman, but I think Hawk wants all that smoke. It would be tough enough having, everything at your disposal, but with all these injuries at receiver, it's going to be even trickier. Now, I wanted to wait until the injury report came out, but it doesn't come out until Wednesday night, so I went ahead and did the show ahead of time. But up to this point, BV has said Deion Burks would most likely be a game-time decision. Now, hopefully that is the good kind of coach speak. That means dude is playing. We're just not going to say that. But I am not sure. I just don't know. And with how intense the injury bug has been on this squad, we have to assume that we won't have him. But hopefully the rule on assuming bites me for that assumption. It would also be nice to get back Taylor Tatum for this one. BV's been a little coy with Tatum status too. No matter who is back there, whether it's Barnes, Tatum, Sawchuk, this would be a great time for the Sooners to get the run game going. Getting healthy up front could go a long way towards making that happen. And even with the O-line getting healthy, which they are, there's been plenty of stuff that needs to be cleaned up. Having that bye week should help facilitate a lot of that stuff. Now, that being said, also having the same starting five for back-to-back games is going to be huge. We can start building on that cohesion, start building on the timing. Dudes know what position they're going to be at, and it just makes everything easier when you got the same five locked. And it's been close, and it has been getting better. Like I said, with the week off, hopefully these dudes got some good practice in. It is a work in progress, but health is where it starts. And now I feel confident that they can coach these guys up, and the more they play together, the more they'll start looking like a unit. Motivation will not be hard to find for this game. It's going to be execution that will determine if we win or lose. And no matter how good the defense plays in this game, which I think they're going to play great. The OU offense needs to start fast and pick it up at every level. Give Mike some winnable downs. Don't make him burn up that Sooner magic on common plays, just trying to come back from a yardage deficit. Play clean football. Let's get all the BS penalties out of there. No false starts. Try to eliminate all the holding. Lose the mental mistakes. Pick up some nice gains on first down. That would be nice. Leave second and third in manageable distances. That will also open up the playbook, and I don't think that is too much to ask. Positive yards on first down. Everything is set up after that. You know, you come to OU to prove you can do things like that in the biggest games at the biggest time. We have those guys on the squad. The attention to detail has to be there, and I think it will be. Something that BV hammers home, and hopefully it's sticking in. But you know what? We are going to find out either way in a couple of days, and I could not be more stoked. And don't let them Bevos forget the Sooners ran them in the Big 12, and in the last 10 years, the Sooners have won 7 of the last 10 games. We've owned this series since World War II. If you want to go back before then, talk your talk, Texas, but you know what it's been. That being said, Texas is the number 1 team in the country, and Bet Online has our Sooners as 14.5-point dogs. That's a lot of points. This should be an easy win for the Horns, right? True freshman quarterback making just his second start. Easy pickings for these Horns, right? Well, I always believe in these Sooners. And after last week, we've seen anything can happen. And I actually love that the Horns are ranked number 1 in the country. And I love that these Horns are 14.5-point favorites. And I hope we've been talking about that all week. 14.5. It is hard to imagine a more epic ending than last year's game. And personally, I would rather blow them fools out. But ripping their hearts out late in the fourth quarter like we did last year, that feels pretty freaking good too. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, baby. Sooner State of Mind family, we've got to rise up, create the reality, believe in the team, believe in each other, raise and meld our level of consciousness, create the vibe that will not be denied. Take what we want and roll them Horns back to Austin, tail tucked. We beat them in the last Big 12 edition of this game. Let's beat them in the first SEC edition of this game. LFG, let's go. Come on, baby. Woo! Okay. Let's bring it back to 1, people. Breathe in. Breathe out. Life is breath. That's all it is. I'll drink to that. They don't call him the LaCroix boy for nothing, all right? Like I said, there are some other primo games on the schedule this week. I mean, it is going to be an outstanding weekend of college football. Number 4, Penn State, 5.5-point favorites at USC at the Coliseum. Get to this game, roll them Trojans, and then go ahead over to the Science Center and check out some cool stuff. Or the Natural History Museum. It's right there, too. This game looked a lot better before the Trojans lost at Minnesota last week. Always turn off your ringer, people. Come on. You know better than that. That's Bush League. I owe you guys one. But Tebow falls to just 5-7 in USC's last 12 games. Doesn't sound like the Mecca to me. And you know what else, dude? You can't teach toughness if you don't know toughness. That being said, I'm not sure Penn State is the 4th best team in the country. Why don't you Nittany Lions go ahead and prove me wrong? I would like nothing more, okay? Go handle your business. Florida at number 8, Tennessee. The Vols 15.5-point favorites. Man, in the past, this game has been sick. And maybe this one will be too. Florida coming off a good win over UCF last week. The Vols coming off a bad loss versus Arkansas. This game is at home, so I fully expect the vowels, A-E-I-O-U, big difference. I expect the Vols to bounce back, and this 4-game stretch might reveal the future for Billy Napier. They're at Tennessee, then they host Kentucky, at Georgia, at Texas. Yuck. Good luck with that. Ugh. Now we get back to the tasty. Number 2, Ohio State. At number 3, Oregon. And Ohio State is 3.5-point favorites on the road. And this looks to be an awesome game. A couple of former Big 12 quarterbacks doing battle. Will Howard for the Buckeyes, DG for them Ducks. But the Bucks make their hay on defense. This Ohio State Buckeyes have only given up 34 points through 5 games. Do the math, people. That's less than 7 points a game. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they give up more than that season total in this game versus Oregon. I think Oregon will be able to get that offense going, and this will really be the first major test for that Ohio State defense. Now, these Ducks, man, they have had to battle week in and week out. We thought they would roll, and they usually do, but they've started slow in all the games and then kind of ended the same way, a big Ducks W. And they've gotten progressively better every week, starting to tighten some stuff up there. And if they do need some heroics at the end, check the watch, baby. It is dime time. Let's go, DG. Go duck a buck. Then it's number 9, Ole Miss. At number 13, LSU. The Rebs bounced back with a huge win last week after not getting lucky with Kentucky. LSU has won 4 in a row after dropping their opener to the T-Bows in Vegas. But they are about to be in it too. At Arkansas, at A&M, host Bama. Brutes. And they finish the season with these cats right up here. No gimmies in this conference. And if you haven't heard, the SEC, it just means more. It does. But a second loss for either of these teams, that might sink their playoff hopes. They're going to have to maybe a 3-loss SEC team gets into the playoffs, but it's going to be tough. So try to win that game to keep in that mix. I'm speaking of Big 12 and Will Howard's former school. It's number 18, Kansas State at Colorado. Wildcats are 3.5-point favorites. And this is actually, to me, a pretty sexy game that I could see going a couple of ways. K-State could blow the Buffs out, or the Buffs could rise some of that Boulder sticky icky and shock these Wildcats. And K-State has been pretty good, except when they got blowed out on the road at BYU. This is another weird mountain time zone game. They struggled in Provo, man. So I don't know if there's going to be a little of that in the air or not. But the Buffs find themselves sniffing around that Big 12 lead. They can get this game. Wouldn't college football love to see this Colorado team stampede into the 12-team playoff? We're going to find out on Saturday what this Colorado team is made of. That's a fun game. Now, looking at my bet online, I'm a sucker for the parlays. They are difficult, but the payday, I love it. And if I were a betting man and was going to do a 3-team parlay this weekend, I do like the Gophers at UCLA. They're given 5.5. BYU -4 versus Arizona. In Provo, we just talked about the Wildcats getting stomped there. Could they stomp another Wildcat? And Pitt 3.5 versus Cal. All right. If you want to get those in, go ahead and try. Purely for entertainment purposes, of course, right? What a day of college football it is going to be. What a day. Looking so forward to it. But if you have anything left in the tank for Sunday, which you know I will, because I'm a sick football weirdo junkie, cannot get enough, there are some tasty Week 6 NFL games. But what I like, Bucks at Saints. Derek Carr is out with an oblique. He's got a little tummy ache there. There's talk that they're going to start Spencer Rattler in this game. And if Rattler goes for the Saints, we got Rattler against Baker and the Bucks. That would be pretty cool to see, right? And in the battle for Maryland, it's the Durs at the Ravens. Jaden Daniels making the NFL look easy. Derrick Henry, 10 years in, making the NFL look easy. It's going to be a fun game. And then we've got the Lions at the Cowboys. And I hope my dude CD can go off in that game. Not just because of the Cowboys, not just because of the Sooners, and not just because of my fantasy team. It's actually all of those things together. But the Lions looking for some revenge after the 2-point gate from the end of last season. But I still put that on Dan Campbell. Just kick the point and get the OT. Whatever. Coach is going to coach, right? But if you're a sicko football junkie like I am and you're into the NFL too, make sure you check out the Trend Zone. And just like Sooner State of Mind, the Trend Zone is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, head on over to Believe.com. That's BLEAV.com. Go to shows, type in Sooner State of Mind, and you are locked. We have a ton of great content, people. I'm telling you, go check it out. It's every team, every topic, everywhere. Believe.com. And if you want to watch Sooner State of Mind, head on over to YouTube and search the Football Dudes. We are there. Like, subscribe, comment. Let's get a dialogue going, people. I love to talk football. If you want to talk football, let's talk football, okay? That's what it's there for. Sooner State of Mind is brought to you by Bet Online. My name is Casey Mallon. Here's a couple horns down to go out. Oh, you would be enjoying this if you're watching on YouTube. So get over there and subscribe. This Saturday, people, it's going down. I am always and forever in a Sooner State of Mind. Beat Texas.